Start.
That's it started.
Okay. Okay, good morning everybody. We'll make a start. It's just gone 9:30. Welcome to this morning's board meeting. Bryan, we've got any apologies?
We've got two, one from Councillor Robertson from Stirling Council and one from Councillor Anne Ritchie from Falkirk Council.
Okay, and before we actually go into the agenda proper, David, can I welcome you back to this board meeting? It's nice to see you. Yourself as well, Jim. It's nice to see you here this morning as well. I wish you both the best.
Thanks, Alan. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.
No problem. Item 2, declarations of interest. Does anybody have anything to declare at this point? Nope, I don't see anybody indicating anything. That takes us on to item 3, the minute of the Valuation Board meeting held on the 27th of June this year. Any issues with the minute, or can we agree it?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 4, revenue budget for 25-26, review as at 31st of October 25. Lindsay, or is it Elizabeth that's taking this one?
Me today.
Okay, thanks Elizabeth.
Okay, so good morning. The report provides the board with the forecasted financial position as at October 25 for the year to 31st of March. The report shows a forecast underspend of 43,000 for the year, which is a favourable movement of £9,000. Table A details underspends, with the majority continuing the trend of relating to employee costs. These total 28,000 underspend after adjusting for the unbudgeted additional 1% pay award, and the recruitment challenges are remaining. The balance of the small balance left is for supplies and services 6,000, and there's £9,000 income for administration of civil penalty notices. Table B provides a breakdown of the movement since last reported, which is £9,000. And again, it's recruitment delays and small variances within supplies and services. Reserves uncommitted remain at 244,000, with no expected drawn down for 25-26, and these will be retained for future years. The new burdens funding is £103,000, which includes a carry forward from 24-25 of £82,000. This is earmarked within reserves and will be drawn down as required. The in-year funding for 25-26 of 21,000 is reflected in the forecast and has associated costs against it. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks for that, Elizabeth. Any questions or comments from members? David?
Yeah, just one quick one. In the table on page 16, it mentions the phone contract has been changed to a different supplier. I just wondered why they've changed supplier. And is it a better contract, a better service?
Elizabeth, are you able to pick that up? Or Mark?
I would say Mark.
Probably myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really just a result of the current contract finishing, and it is a better contract. It's a different supplier. It's just a case of a new contract, and I think it was a 3-year contract that had just expired, and we've just acquired a new one. It's as simple as that.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Convener.
Sarah, you're next.
Yeah, just a question, really more for my clarity or my education, but the civil penalties, could you just explain what those are and why we're collecting them? Just this comment in 6 about what gets paid over to the Scottish Government. Just a bit of background, because I'm not sure what that's really meaning.
Yep, sure. One of the results of the Bartley review was increased powers to assessors across the country to impose civil penalties for the non-return of our information notices, AINs we call them, assessors information notices. We need that information to carry out our statutory duties of revaluation. So in the past, with non-returns, we couldn't really do anything about them, but we've got these new powers of civil penalty, and if you don't return your notice, then we can impose civil penalties. And we're at the very beginnings of that process. We've got new civil penalty processes in place. We've been actually issuing some civil penalties in the first tranche of the process this current year, and we're carrying on with that process. Part of that process is, in fact, you'll see the new policy, the policy that we're hoping to approve today regarding civil penalties, so debt collection and things like that. So that's part of the process. So it's just new powers that we've had. And what happens is we gather the money, but the board is not allowed to keep hold of it. We need to transfer it to the Scottish Government. So any income that we get, we need to pass over. That some of the income we can keep for administrative costs, and that's what it says in the budget. We can keep some with regards to our administration of the actual civil penalty process, but the majority of it we need to hand over.
Thank you. I didn't never give any thought to that. That's interesting. Thank you for that explanation. Thanks,
Sarah. Bryan?
Thank you very much. And mine's actually on that. What is this rate of the civil penalties, and how many are we doing to get this amount? So what is the rate for those civil penalties?
Well, it really, the civil penalty depends upon the size of the rateable value, and the subject's rateable value. It's a percentage of the assessment, so it really depends. I mean, a large subject will have a very big civil penalty, whereas a small subject will have a tiny. It's a percentage of the rateable value, or £200. There's 3 stages to the civil penalty. If they don't return it first time, the civil penalty increases to the next stage. And if they don't return it the second time, there's a 3rd stage, in which case it can be up to 50% of the actual assessment. So the penalty varies depending upon the subject.
Thank you very much. I was just curious if there's a percentage or a fixed rate. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bryan. Mark, can I maybe ask just a general point in relation to the staffing issue? I know it's an ongoing issue. Can you maybe just update us as to where we actually are with that? Well,
I mean, from the point of view of staffing, we're actually at full capacity with regards to staffing, albeit we have a excessive number of trainees. So albeit we have the bodies in the building, that they're not fully qualified chartered surveyors. So at this moment in time, we've actually we have a full complement, and that's what we needed to do the revaluation from the point of view of the valuation staff. Anyway, as far as admin staff's concerned, we have pretty much a full complement, albeit we have 1 member of staff retiring next month, and we'll be looking to recruit to replace her. Okay, thanks for that, Mark. Any further comments in relation to this report, or can we agree it?
Agreed.
Okay, thanks for that. Takes us on to item 5, interim risk assessment report. Mark?
Yep, thanks. This is just to flag to members the potential that Bartley funding, which we'll be receiving for the last 5 years, may well not be forthcoming in the next financial year, despite the fact that the increased workload that we have as a result of the Bartley review, the 3 yearly revaluations, the self-catering audit, the civil penalties, things like that, have all resulted in a massively increased workload for us. So the government recognised that 5 years ago, and each assessor across the country made a bid for extra funding, and we'll be receiving that funding every 5 years. And in actual fact, the amount we received from the government was 323,000 in the last financial year. It just goes up by inflation each year. We're facing the real prospect of Bartley funding not continuing next year. The Scottish Assessors Association have been in not negotiations, but consultation with the Scottish Government over the last few months, making our case for a continuation of the funding. And in actual fact, some assessors need increased funding just to cope with the extra workload. So effectively, we're hopeful that Bartley funding continues because the workload hasn't changed, but we can't be certain. And I just wanted to highlight to members that there's a potential funding gap for next year of, it's approximately 10% of our budget going forward. We are hopeful that we'll get some funding, but as you can see in your, the report, it's not certain, and we won't actually know until the Scottish Government produce their budget in mid-January next year. So we've got some uncertainty around the budget for next year, or part of it.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Donald?
Through the chair, Mark, how is that funding? It obviously doesn't come to us directly, it goes to the local authorities and then distributed.
It does. The way the funding works is that it's given to each local authority, but it's actually ring-fenced. The government instruct the local authority that here's the amount, but you need to give it to the joint board. There's a possibility that they might not do that. They'll just give each local authority their normal funding and say, by the way, you need to provide money for the assessor for Bartley funding, whereas it's up to the local authority if they do that, whereas at the moment it's properly ring-fenced. Each local authority is instructed to give us the money. They may not do that next year. They might just say it's subsumed in the whole grant allocation. So we don't know.
Concern really is as a result of, can I just say, costly lobbying to reduce the ring fencing, the Bartley formula will be part of that.
Absolutely, yes. I'm concerned that they may not ring fence it. And if they don't, then I just wanted members to be aware that we'll be looking for that money from each local authority, you know, whether it's ring fenced or not. Hopefully it will be. We're hopeful that they will continue the funding because assessors have made their case that, you know, the workload has increased and we do need that money. I mean, our particular board, I say 323,000, but equally Renfrew Valuation Joint Board, who are similar size to ourselves, they actually get 600,000, so they'll be in a bigger financial hole than us, and other assessors get more money than us. One or two get less than us, so it's a problem across the country for every assessor.
But the ultimate sort of kick-off points really the Scottish Government decision to allocate.
Absolutely, it's entirely down to the government. Yeah.
Okay. Jim, you're next.
Jim, you're on mute.
Jim, you'll need to come off mute.
Still in mute, Jim.
Can you hear me now?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, sorry, Mark. Thank you very much. Apologies, Convener. Mark, we're talking about the future funding, Bartley funding. There are three options available for the Bartley funding.
Yep.
One is that the funding completely ceases 26-27. Number two, Bartley funding is assumed, as you correctly pointed out, with overall local governance settlement and not specifically ring-fenced, as you've correctly stated. And three, the status quo. So I think the question for me is, what would the impact be if the option 1 and 2 were to be implemented? It states in the report that it could create a significant funding gap for which the board reserves cannot cover, and that it could be increased regarding the amount over the above the inflation rate. Where could we get that money from if it's taken away? Where can we draw that from?
Well, the simple answer is we will need to get it from our constituent local authorities as an increased requisition. We normally get it, you know, an increased percentage year on year in each local authority. Excellent, we get that without much problem, but we will need to ask for more over and above what we would normally get just to cover that gap. As you rightly say, we don't have that. We don't have enough in reserves to cover that.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Robert, you're next.
Hi, could you tell me if you have appealed to the Scottish Government for further information at present regarding that funding?
Yeah,
because
we absolutely have. Sorry.
Local councils, we're waiting to see what our funding is going to be, and just to keep giving the increases would be detrimental to our local three local authorities.
No, you're absolutely right. But the way we approach the government is through the Scottish Assessors Association, and we have an executive of 3 or 4 assessors the President, the Vice President, Secretary. So they hold meetings with the Finance Minister, in fact, and have done in the past 2 or 3. In this current financial year, we've had 3 meetings with the government, one just the other week there, and we've made it absolutely crystal clear that we do need that funding. And to be honest, the Finance Minister has been sympathetic and he's listened, and some assessors actually need more funding than they're getting at the moment. So he is sympathetic, but at the end of the day, we don't know. It'll really be down to the budget.
Well, surely they realise that valuation is vitally important, not just to their funding, but local authorities, and for to try and cut the teeth from us is detrimental to both parties.
You're absolutely correct, and we've made that clear. We're talking about billions of pounds of funding through the rates. Absolutely, yeah, we've made that clear to them.
You okay with that, Robert?
Well, I don't think any of us are okay
No.
with the situation, but we'll have to listen and fight the fight when it comes.
Mm-hmm. I should have said, are you okay with the response? Thanks. Elizabeth, you wanted to come in on this as well?
Yeah, just wanted to say that, you know, if the funding ceases, then there would need to be like a controlled reduction in spend, which could be supported by reserves short term, as they're at the higher end of the minimum balance. And also we'd need to identify future savings, with any resulting gap needing to be funded by constituent authorities. You know, we'll be looking at this obviously as part of the budget process.
Yeah. I take it as far as the reserves are concerned, that would just be a one-off, because we wouldn't be able to keep doing that.
Yeah, once they reduce, they reduce.
Yeah.
So it would be very short-term funding.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. I don't see any other hands up. Can we agree the report?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Agreed.
Takes us on to item 6, the interim valuation performance report. Now, before... Sorry, Robert, I never noticed your hand up there. Do you want to come back in?
Yeah, just that with a big loss in the local industry, especially Grangemouth, our rates that we can charge are going to be dramatically reduced. So we're in for a tough time ahead. So the government need to recognise that.
Okay, thanks, Robert. We'll move on to item 6, interim valuation performance report. Now, before we actually go into the report, can I just take this opportunity to welcome Paul Kelly. He's our new Deputy Assessor in ERO. It's his first board meeting today, so welcome, Paul.
Okay.
Like I said, this is the interim valuation performance report. It's over at yourself, Paul.
Thanks, Convener. Good morning, everyone. This is the interim report on valuation performance over the first 6 months of the current financial year. Section 2 of the report covers the performance indicators for non-domestic valuation work. These indicators measure how quickly we make changes to the valuation roll from the period of the effective date of the change and the date it was processed. The current targets are 60% of changes to be processed within 3 months, 22% to be processed within 6 months, and 18% to be processed over 6 months. We are currently exceeding targets in this area. 65% of changes were dealt with within 3 months, 25% within 6 months, and 10% over 6 months. Section 3 of the report considers our performance in relation to council tax list work. These indicators measure how quickly new houses are added to the valuation list. The current targets are 85% of new dwellings to be added to the list within 3 months, 7% within 6 months, and 8% over 6 months. We are slightly behind on our 3 months target at 82%, with more being processed within 6 months at 14% and 4% of changes processed over 6 months. This financial year has been particularly busy for valuation staff, as we were working on the disposal of the non-domestic proposals from the 2023 revaluation by the statutory deadline of the 30th of September. whilst preparing the draft valuation rule for the 2026 revaluation, which is a statutory deadline of the 30th of November. Additionally, the annual audit of self-catering accommodation was carried out in this period. In terms of resources, we've recently appointed a new senior valuer to the service and promoted another senior valuer to a divisional assessor post. We now have a vacant senior valuer post, which will be advertised in the new calendar year, and that will allow us to extend a valuer post to the 31st of March 2026. The performance is measured on a regular basis by the management team, which makes it on a monthly basis, and I would ask the board to note the performance to date.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Paul. Any questions from members for Paul? Bryan?
Thank you very much, Paul. Nice to see you again. My one question is just on number 3. Are you hoping that these promotions will get the 6 months to the 3 month target to bring that number down?
I would say that this financial year has been particularly busy for the service because of the 3-year window that we have for revaluations. This one, we have the proposal deadline along with the statutory deadline for the draft valuation. So I think that's mainly the reason why the performance is not quite where we'd like it to be with regards to the council tax side. So I'd say that's more the reason. But certainly the additional staff will help address that.
Thank you very much.
Robert?
Yeah, is there any update on the threatened changes to the council property banding?
Well, I can give up to me. Yep. The government, as you're probably aware, has launched a consultation with regards to a council tax review. So it's currently undergoing that consultation, and I think it might be to the end of the year. And we, as an association, assessors, have made a submission to that. So the consultation is ongoing. I suspect that what the government are looking for is a cross-party agreement with regards to where we take council tax going forward, rather than it be an issue at the next election. So I think the consultation's ongoing, and I suspect it may well, the results may come in the new year, and you'll have a better idea of where the review is going then.
I think we might have a revolution.
Thanks, Robert. I don't see any other hands up. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you. That takes us on to item 7, the anti-fraud and corruption policy. Paul, it's yourself again.
Yep, thanks, Chair. This report is to seek the board approval of the anti-fraud and corruption policy. This policy reflects the board's commitment to maintaining a strong internal control environment and promoting a culture of honesty, accountability and ethical behaviour. The board is entrusted with public resources and is accountable for ensuring that these are used effectively, efficiently and ethically. As a public body, the board is subject to scrutiny from external bodies and must uphold the highest standards of integrity and transparency in all its operations. Fraud and corruption undermine public confidence, and it is therefore essential that robust arrangements are in place to prevent, detect and respond to fraudulent and corrupt activities. This policy complements other key governance documents, including the board's financial regulations, standing orders, codes of conduct and the whistleblowing policy. Together, these form a comprehensive framework for the safeguarding of public funds and ensuring that any concerns are addressed promptly and appropriately. Policy has been developed with input and guidance from Falkirk Council's internal audit team, and it was approved at our internal staff consultation forum held on the 11th of November. Members are asked to approve the anti-fraud and corruption policy.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Any questions for Paul on this report? Don't see any hands. Oh, no. Sorry, Jim.
Thank you, Convener. Paul, just one question. I'm just interested. I'm looking at has any issues been reported from within the services by way of the whistleblowing policy? And if any investigations took place, what was the result of that?
I'm not aware of any at the moment. Maybe Mark could maybe shed light on that.
Certainly in The past 3 years I've been involved, councillor, we've had nothing at all. No reports, no whistleblowing. Can assure you of that.
Well, that's good news.
I don't see any other hands up for commenting. We agree the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Takes us on to our last item of business, the programme of meetings for 26-27. Bryan, it's yourself.
Thanks, Convener. Hopefully this is quite straightforward. It's just the standard programme and meetings report with a slight change that rather than doing a calendar year, we've taken, the dates through to 2027. So the Valuation Board finishes in May 2027 with the local government elections. So we've got a programme of meetings to take us through to then. The dates can be changed if necessary, and you'll be aware that this year we did change a date in September because of an issue with the accounts, which is still to be resolved. So the dates will go in the diary if agreed, but there is that understanding that perhaps they may need to be changed as necessary, and also additional dates can be added again if necessary.
Thanks, Bryan. Does anybody have any issues with any of the dates that are mentioned? No. We agree the list.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you for that. That concludes our business for this morning. Can I just thank you for attending? Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.